Hello everybody, welcome to the Sunday Car Service, and I'm joined tonight by Mr. Ian Hartup because Ian, today, or yesterday rather, was the finale of our epic P34 challenge.
Epic is a word.
Epic was the word. Shall we leave with this, or shall we tantalizingly tease everybody and then end the show with the P34 talk? What do you think?
I think, in light of the fact that everybody's probably bored to death of it now, I think we should lead with it.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. You, on the other hand, you've been out having adventures, haven't you, at retail places?
Oh, I have. Yes. So obviously I was quite happily trundling along with my P34, and I had a paint-related issue in that I developed incompetency very abruptly. So I needed options. What happened was I had a paint finish that I wasn't happy with, so I did a bit of work to prep it back. Tried a shortcut to a mix that I found on the internet for Tyrrell Blue that turned out to be nowhere near what I needed, so put myself in a position where I very desperately needed to get some color on the thing. So, aware that Real Colors have announced some automotive colors, and they now have quite a nice range, and my friends at the Model Workshop in Barnsley, yes, they have a paint rack for this stuff. I made a journey down there very late on, I have to say, and acquired some colours. I'm actually, since then I've been back and bought some more. So I'm up to about 9 different shades now. Golf Orange and Golf Blue, British Racing Green, McLaren Fluorescent Red, that kind of thing. They behave, to my mind, very much like a lacquer-based alternative to the automotive colours that people like Zero and that are selling. And the number 5 and Gravity. I owe number 5 a bit of an apology because I kept referring to them as Gravity paints on another in another instance, and they're a separate company, but I still struggled with the paint. So yeah, hey ho. I like this stuff. It sprays beautifully. I will admit that I rushed it, and that has caused me problems further down the line, but I'm trying to get around that at the minute, but the model's finished. The guys so this is the clear coat they offer as well. The thinner is very good, very odorless on a level that I never really thought I'd find in a lacquer type thinner. Very interesting stuff. Thins the lacquer, these lacquers beautifully. Yeah, I'm quite impressed. I did buy some lacquer, some of their marker pens as well clearly on the basis of what I'd seen you achieve with them, and I'm equally impressed by them. The flat black and the standard aluminium, that's a word I can never pronounce right, are very, very nice. I was impressed. Colour me impressed, as I think is the best way of putting it.
I've got to try out the new Real Colors in the in these rebranded bottles. Bear with. He's just going over to his no, you see, because when I was down at Jadlam the other week for their Tamiya takeover, I did buy some of the AK it's the AK Air stuff, but this is, I'm just seeing what it says, brand new. It's an acrylic, it's not a lacquer, so it's not the Real Color.
No, so the Real Colors seem to be the lacquer ones. These are just Real Color lacquer based paints, civil. Now that's, I mean, this is I'll just move on. You've got me saying it now.
Essentially, these new bottles they've done, they replace the glass jars.
Yeah, these.
So,
This is the one that first caught my eye. This is a carbon fiber grey, which at least for a base coat for under carbon fiber decals, things like that. Obviously, there's fluorescent red, which is definitely fluorescent.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Tyrrell blue, which we'll come back to in a minute. Golf orange and golf blue, which I acquired there. They look actually, you know what? They don't in the bottle and on my test cards. They didn't look too far off of the sort of early 70s Porsche 917 Golf colours. They look quite British Racing Green. The thing with British Racing Green is you've got to know which car it's going on.
Yeah. ask me how I know about British Racing Green, Ian.
The Lotus one is different to the BMC one is different to. I don't know if you've ever seen a BRM up close in British Racing Green, but it's almost black. This is the one that ended up with me having it all over my hand, which is the Ninja Green. We opened a bottle up because I was looking at it going, is that metallic? And the range guide said it was solid. And when we weren't quite sure. So I opened the bottle up on the counter, and someone had been previously, and the tip was split. And me, the guy on the counter, and myself all very quickly ended up wearing it. Alfa Romeo red, very distinctly different red to Ferrari red, much darker and more red. So that's quite an interesting one. I noticed I didn't buy any Ferrari cars, but the one I'm actually really intrigued by, is this stuff, holographic pearl. Ooh. And when you look at the bottom, they're not kidding. There's pearl in there. There's shed loads of pearl in there. So this is where a 50-50 bet I'm going to end up wearing this. You know that, don't you?
Jim's got a question. Jim Altergott's got a question. He says, question, is there a colour standard for automotive colours?
Individual brand standards.
Yeah,
always. So a lot of the European brands, your VWs, your Mercedes, and people like that are RAL. There's always a RAL number behind it, which it makes them very easy to mix to. Your premium, but go back prior to about 1990. No, if you can see that.
Well, Mike Williams has just said, spray that holographic over satin black and be amazed.
Right. Well, that's the thing, Mike. Obviously, I've got an awful lot of the SMS pearls as well. So, for instance, this, which those of you who follow my personal channel will have seen, that is purple over gloss black pearl. So, yeah, to get a true pearl effect, put it over white. To get a pseudo pearl metallic, put it over black. So, as a custom car builder as well, I'm rather taken by that. And I can see the pearl in it from here. It's lovely. That's quite impressed with that one. Oh, good. Who's that fella?
Sorry, I was having a sip of tea there for a moment.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. I've got to, like I say, I've got some of the new AK Air, which is the water-based acrylic. But the next time I'm down in Jadlam, I am going to invest in some of their new lacquer bottles. The thing is, Ian, it's always finding the paint that's going to be germane to a project you're working on, so that you can use it immediately rather than just buying paint for the sake of buying paint, which I have done in the past. So, but yes, we're working on it. We're working on it. I'm just having a quick read of the comments here. Jim says, JM, could you put a link to Ian's channel, please?
It's on Plastic Wheels, and I post regularly in the Facebook group.
Yep.
So
right. I'm just doing some ad hoc searching on, there we go, it's come up straight away, and you'll be delighted to know. There we go. So I'm just going to, I'm just posting the link. There we go. So there we go. Do you know what you need to do, Ian? Is you need to go into your page and actually assign it a name. You can do it in the settings, so that rather than it coming up as it's doing at the moment with just a number, with like a long string number, you can actually give it a name.
Trust me, setting the page up is traumatic enough. But
Yeah.
I'll have to.
I'm just gonna share the screen with that. There we go. Here's Ian's on plastic wheels.
Mate.
Francois Verlinden just called. He says he'll let you get away with that one.
To be honest, I was waiting for Spencer to go, oi.
I think Spencer, I haven't had a word out of Spencer today, but he's probably overjoyed at the football result this afternoon. So
yeah, he's been. I think he's away. He's away gallivanting, isn't he?
He's on holes. He's on his holes. But anyway, there's Ian's page on plastic wheels. And what we'll do is we are just going to, if we go to our page. Bear with, folks, and we are going to get T-shirts made up. They're going to have that as a bear with. Scrolls down. There we go. We've posted a link to our main Facebook page now, so you'll be able to go in there and give it a like. It's very good. I've learned things. So I'm just having a look. Scrolls down. Here we go. Mike and Penn Richardson say, Ian, that's you, just in case you're wondering. Ian, will you be displaying any of your cars at Telford?
More than is reasonable.
Okay.
So you need to find, usually at Telford, the car guys have a little, like the little areas where everything, like a pod. We're usually in somewhere in Hall 2, 1 or 2. And you'll find there'll be the custom car group, there'll be road and tracking scale, there'll be a Formula 1 and motorsport group, which I used to run, that's run by Richie Griffiths and a couple of guys, and Jeff Corker now. They do a sterling job. Lee Croden's custom car and hot rod SIG. What else is there? You get a couple of the other groups as well, car groups, and they put us in an area together because we're kind of a sub-community, because everybody knows everybody else within that section of it. So if you're passing and you ask, they'll all just point at me. He's over there. Because usually you'll find me talking rubbish somewhere around that area. And obviously as a member of the F1 and Motorsport SIG, things like this will probably be on the table. Last year I had a thing about Ford Le Mans cars. We did a Le Mans theme. 170 cars on that display at one point, which on 12-foot double decks is a lot of models.
Yeah, it's a lot of plastic, that.
Yeah, and I did the 8 of the GT40s that ran at Le Mans in '66. I did the 8 works cars, all new models, which is why I'll never build a main GT40 again. And so yeah, I'll be there. I might be floating around with Jay. Come over, sit and have a chat with JM at some point over the weekend. So I'm presuming you'll be somewhere around the Hobby Company stand, will you, this year? Yeah.
Fingers crossed. We'll be doing demos for the Hobby Company over the weekend. So I'm just going to say, seeing as Mike Richardson asked the question. Here is Mike's contribution to the P34 challenge. So he built the same kit as me, but he built it in the proper decals rather than doing what I did, which is kind of like, trying to read across 2 different sets of instructions. Anyway, also Mike has managed to paint his logos on his wheels, which I managed to do the rear ones on mine, but for the life of me, I really couldn't pick out the ones on the front. But learning curve, Ian. This has been a massive learning curve. Brace yourselves, folks. In 50 years of sticking bits of plastic together, my Tyrrell P34 was the first Formula One car kit I've ever built. So yeah, so massive learning curve. But this is Mike Richardson's model. Oh, hang about, we've got a banner for him. There we go. There you go. That's Mike Richardson's, and beautiful finish he's got on it. So
better than mine, I have to say. Mine is a bit of a letdown for me at the minute, but
But yeah, thanks for that, Mike. Hopefully you'll join in with some of our future group builds that we're going to be kind of putting together. We've got ideas. One of the ideas I've actually got is for the end of the year is to have the did not finish group build. So I think everybody can join in with whatever it was, whatever personal projects, or indeed if you were joining in on the P34 challenge, if you didn't get round to finishing, and there are a couple of you out there that didn't, and I am going to name and shame at the moment. No, I'm not naming and shaming. Dan Wood. Dan got incredibly far forward with his model, but unfortunately ran out of time. So I'm just trying to grab the screen here. Come on, StreamYard, make it easier for us. Yeah, so there's Dan's P34. A slightly different scheme to mine, but I do love that overall blue finish. Yuck, and he's got all his bits organized as well. I did that with mine. It's the only way you can really do it, is mark everything up and, you know, subdivide it into little sub-assemblies. But Dan, you've got the end of the year to get this model finished. So thank you for taking part. Because like I say, unfortunately, real life does sometimes kind of bite us on the backside. It means we start with the best ambitions, but don't get around to finishing things. So thank you, Dan. And also another honourable mention to Andy King. And Andy also made a start on his, but couldn't get round to finishing it. So I'm just trying to get this blessed screen up again. Present, share screen. Oh, there we go. So that was Andy King's. So, and he's got some of the Falcon bits, which you're going to talk about in a minute, aren't you, Ian? Yeah. So, yeah. So, Andy, again, you've got. If you want to finish this off, end of the year, we'll have the end of the year did not finish group build, because I think that'd be good. And yeah, I've got a number of projects here that I'd like to finish off.
I've seen that referred to as an amnesty build.
Yeah,
I really did like the idea of an amnesty build. Just, you've got time, don't worry.
Yeah,
I did like Mr. Mummery's comment. David
let me just call that.
I did not get round to starting it build.
That's a good one. I like that. Yeah,
there's a few of them in my stash as well. I'll build that for the group build, and then you acquire the kit, and then nothing ever
happens. Nick Brown says, yeah, I'm one. Unfortunately, mine is hidden under my excuses for a modelling room, currently storage, whilst I sort out a leak in the roof.
Oh dear.
Rubbish excuse, I know. No, I sympathise with you there, Nick. And Paul Adams says best way to do those old Tamiya style lettering was to use a white acrylic thinned as a wash, just float it in and build up the coats. That's exactly what I did with mine. I didn't use what did I use? I used reaches up. I used Vallejo white primer, which
because it's got a better pigment density, hasn't it, than the
paint? just a little bit. And I'm just having another quick look. Comments.
Mr. King.
Dan Wood says, Dan says, I'm hopeful of having mine finished in a few weeks. And Andy King says, hangs head in shame. Andy, there is absolutely nothing honestly. Modeler starts model but doesn't finish it. Shocker. That's not exactly a news story, is it? So
right, it's not unusual, not at all. No, looks around himself at how many work in progress boxes. There's hundreds of them.
Yeah. Ian. So we saw that on I think it was one of the models there. That was Andy's one. Explain what's going on here then.
Right, I'm going to pop onto my overhead camera in a sec.
I know this is nothing to do with the.
We're moving on now, aren't we? Yeah. We'll draw a line under the P34 thing. So if I do this is my next project. This is a Tamiya Honda CBR 1000 motorbike Fireblade. I have the Tamiya detailer parts. Now, the kit supplies an injection molded chain, which it's not its strongest point. But Falcon models are a 3D printed manufacturer. I have two of these because I have two CBR 1000. In the box, you get this, which is the chain, 3D printed. All the links are individually visible, and then you get some beautiful sprocket pieces. Instructions are downloadable in PDF format from the website. To date, I have never actually used one of these. The bike is actually making reasonable progress. A lot of the bits are prepped and in primer, so that should get to the point where probably by the next time you and I talk, 3 or 4 weeks time, we have an example of it. And obviously bits and pieces about it will go on the website as we go along, on the Facebook page, etc. But so far, just from the way it's presented, the information on the website, the process stuff, it looks really good, and I'm very impressed. I love the little extra bolt heads and the cap center. It's just a really nice process. I actually have got, and much like Andy has, in my Japanese Grand Prix issue of the P34. Yeah. Because that was going to be the second one I built. Obviously, circumstances conspired. That will probably get done later on in the year or into next year. So I'm quite looking forward to doing that. I'm a little bit trepidatious about cutting it off that casting area, but they seem to think it's easier than I think it is. So we'll see. That looks really nice though. And the bikes, it's a typical Tamiya motorbike kit. It's an absolute work of art. So yeah, we'll see. While I'm on that subject of projects, a lot of you have been following my website. Will have seen that I'm building Skylines. I've got another one on the go. Don't know what that's about. That's a Fujimi one. This is a V-Spec 2 Nuremberg ring variant. And I've never built a Fujimi Skyline, and it's actually rather nice. Very simple, but very nice. So there you go.
Got a question from Jim Altegott. In fact, it was something I was wondering, and he said, question, is that the same Falcon company that makes vac-form canopies and other aircraft detail parts?
No,
because they're from New Zealand. That Falcon is from New Zealand.
I don't know that they're still producing.
It was Malcolm Laird, wasn't it?
Yeah. I believe, and I don't know, he's possibly involved somewhere in the it's a New Zealand company that's making the Spitfires.
Oh, Qatari.
Possibly. Yeah. I might be wrong. Malcolm stop. Right, so trip down memory lane. Late 90s. early 90s rather, mooching around ED models in Shirley. Big pile of Falcon vac forms and bits and pieces like that. And their vac form canopies were always the go-to. They were the benchmark for 72nd scale vac form canopies. I've got
some here. They're absolutely, they were just so beautifully crisp.
Yeah.
And they fit as well.
Yeah. And he would go out of his way to say, right, on this instance, because there's so much wrong, you need to do this to make my canopy fit because my canopy is right, or he'd just make it fit the kit if it was easy. So, but they were just, I mean, I remember building a PR1G Spitfire with one of his canopies on it, with the one with the desiccant capsules in the things like that. Oh, just superb. Absolutely. That's a lifetime ago.
Well, again, another lifetime ago. So this is where StreamYard need to introduce the wibbly wobbly effect. You see, is going back to, goodness me, Ian. This is nearly 30 years ago. Going back to the IPMS Nationals in 1995. So yeah, 29 years ago. Humbrol Airfix at the time were about to announce their 48 scale Spitfire 22/24/Seafire 46/47, and they needed something on the stand to represent their plans. So I got hold of a Falcon 48 scale Seafire, built that, and that was on the display stand. And the really funny thing is, the really funny bit was number of people who saw the vac form and just went, "Oh, is this the kit? It looks great." And it's like, no, it's a vac form.
Funny thing is, I remember that model on that table. Trevor Snowden used to come to a meeting where myself and Neil Robinson used to meet in Sheffield, Rotherham area. And I remember Trevor walking in with the test shots for the 22/24, 46/47, and putting it in front of us all and going, "Look what I've got." And you've never, it was like flies round the proverbial. I've never seen anything like it, because from a quality point of view,
it's a quantum leap forward.
It was like, let's do this to this. And it was like, whoa. And then when the lightnings came after that as well, and that was just phenomenal. It's just a shame it didn't carry on like that. There were so many other things that could have done like that. But there you go.
Dan Wood says, I'm not having it that 1995 is nearly 30 years ago. I'm with you, Dan. No. Jurassic Park came out 10 years ago. It did not come out 31 years ago. So,
if I may, Jim, John, just remind us how old the Bedford QL is you're working on.
Oh God, yeah. That was originally released as a Max kit in 1974,
which makes it 50 years old.
Yep. The year I do believe Queen released Sheer Heart Attack. What a great album that was. But anyway,
and what's really annoying is I got that Max Bedford QL for my 11th birthday about 4 years later. I remember building it very, very quickly and thinking it was the best thing I'd ever built in my entire life.
Dave Fleming says, we got married in 95. It's definitely almost 30 years. I will point out Dave means his wife Leslie, not me and Dave, just to clear that up, just in case. And Russell Taylor says the Falcon website is still active. Russell, is that the Falcon New Zealand?
Ah, right. Yes, that's reminded me. Dave Swindell's just pointed out that they've just done the new canopies for Barracuda.
Yeah. I'm just bear with. Do you know what? Sorry, gone a bit Michael Caine there for a second. Do you know what? I have just been on that internet. You might have heard of it. And there we go. Falconmodels.co.New Zealand. and Falcon Industries, and they are still going strong. Absolutely brilliant. So,
and if the product is anything like as good as it has been traditionally, actually, having said that, I saw the pictures of the new Barracuda Mosquito PR canopies for the 72nd Fix kit, and went, oh wow, God, I have them. I haven't bought the kit yet.
No, those Barracuda canopies, the Falcon canopies for Barracuda look absolutely stunning. Well, there you go, folks. What we're going to do is grab that link, and we're going to go and copy that over onto the Facebook page and share that over on the Facebook page. So brilliant! Do you know what? I hadn't realised that they were still in existence. Although you mentioned the Barracuda thing. Yeah, I should have. Anyway, there you go, folks. Link has been posted. So next, Ian. You were talking about your trip to your trip to the hobby workshop. So there we go. It does look spectacular.
Yeah, I mean, they started off as a wargaming, a Games Workshop type sockets. They've got a games room upstairs where they host war games and stuff. Because of that, there's a lot of focus around paint ranges and stuff, and materials, and diorama gear, and all that kind of stuff. But they have a nice range of kits as well. So they have a huge range of Games Workshop stuff, more than I've seen in some Games Workshop stores, to be fair. But you walk in the door and there's paint rack. Like 3 on this side. You turn right and it goes all the way around and all the way along. So in the left hand of those photographs, that's just one side of it. I mean, the paint racks alone will keep you happy for a while. They've got all the Tamiya, both lacquer and acrylic and rattle can. They've got AK. They've got ammo. They've got a Gunze Mr. Hobby.
Yeah, Mr. Hobby. Yeah,
they haven't got Mr. Color yet. Still, they do have some of the GX range. So, yeah, I was chatting with them about that, and they're like, we can't really leave another paint rack in at the minute. Well, that's fair. They're really, really nice guys. They're very helpful, and it's a nice bit of banter when you go in there. And my benefit is, it's like half an hour down the motorway from me. And very, very good. I'm a little bit spoilt here in Leeds because we've actually got in a reasonable distance 3 or 4 pretty decent model shops. There's a big one in Crossgates. They started off mainly as a radio control type shop, but they've upstairs now. Their plastic display area is just huge. I mean, they're very heavily into your Tapcom and your Meng and all those kind of guys. They've got a good cars display and a good range, and again, a good range of Tamiya and Humbrol. Although they were talking about Mr. Colour, Mr. Hobby at one point. So that's the model shop in Crossgates. There's another one. You've got the legend that is Halifax Modelers World, which is like an hour's drive from me. So if I need something and I've got time, there's very little I can't get to. Plus, you've got Nigel and Lisa Wells from the Crafting World just up the road in Doncaster, who can do masks and stuff like that. So, we're very spoiled in Yorkshire, I have to say. Once heard someone at a Telford, an IPMS Nationals, refer to the Yorkshire Mafia of modelling, and we are. And we're very proud of it. Thank you very much.
The Southwest is catching up with you. So
yeah, you are.
We are. We're working on it. We are. I am. Particularly, obviously, I've got Antics in Bristol. We've got Froome Model Centre. We've got Jadlam in Glastonbury. For mail order, we've got Premium Hobbies. There's the Scale Model Shed just down by Drew. So we're doing all right. Yeah.
I think I sense, and I'm going to use 2 words that I detest to use: post-COVID. I think there has been quite a resurgence, of the hobby around people that through COVID and lockdown.
Fingers crossed. It's given people something positive to kind of lock onto, and of course, our cause, so to speak, not harmed by having the likes of Superman himself, Henry Cavill, declaring his love for Warhammer.
And yeah, I did love that spat, that minor spat he had with the guy on the talk show about it, which I thought was hilarious. I was watching that thinking, you are in so much trouble. Because you've turned off every nerd on the planet and now going to kill you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was cool. I think, you know, as a modeler, I never really stopped through for my, you know, started when I was about 6. I never really have put it down, for want of a better phrase. I had a brief period where I was jollying around with cars and stuff, but I was still modeling on the side. And I think there's a lot of people who did stop who are now coming back to it because the mindfulness element of it.
Yep.
A very good friend of mine who will be on here, so watching us at some point tonight, he went back. He was told by his psychiatric team, you need something to switch off from work, take up a hobby. So he took up modeling. It's cost him a pretty penny, but it's that thing, isn't it? It's how we treat our hobby. I will hold my hand up and go, listen, I'm obsessed. It's always been an obsession for me. It's just my thing. But you only have to look around behind you to understand that. But when I'm up here and I've got my music on, usually the aircon's blowing because I like it cool, and the world goes away.
Yep.
Does that make sense? The world,
just
outside.
Absolutely. We're going to play catch up with some of the other contributors to the P34 challenge. This was absolutely epic. This was from Rally Chef. Oh God, Rally Chef gets us because they straight in there with a Carry On reference, and so there we go. They started out with the 77 Monaco kit as well. Everything down into numbered into sprues there, and it's organized. I like this. This is organized. So this is a bit of pre-painting and priming going on there. There's everything in the spray booth, or some of the items in the spray booth. Engine coming along there. In fact, looking at that, I suddenly realised there's bits on my engine that I should have done some. Anyway, they've gone for the two-tone finish, which, like I say, I wanted to go for the all blue one. But I'll just whiz through Rally Chef's pictures here.
He's done a nice job of that, actually.
Yes. And of course, I've still got the Matchbox kit to do in this scheme, so I will get round to doing that some stage, because I've never built any of the Matchbox cars.
That Matchbox kit is nearer my model than that one. The Matchbox one's a 77 car with the wider track and flatter bodywork. So that, because the reason that car exists in that scheme, for 77 they widened the front track, so that's why the bodywork gets flatter and at the sides and the fares out flatter. The problem being, turn up to Monaco with a wider car, it kind of didn't fit. So Monaco, they ran the 76 car, which is what that is, in the current sponsorship logo livery. So that is the 1976 car running in 1977 at Monaco in the 77 livery, which is why it's unusual. There you go.
Yeah, because the Fujimi, theirs are the later versions, aren't they?
Yeah. And you only have to look at the picture behind me. In fact, if I tell you what, I'll put my model on. I don't want to do this. Put my model on the overhead. So you see the bodywork is much flatter.
Oh goodness me, yeah.
And the front track is wider here, and there's none of the tunnel effect down the side. When you put this all together, it's flatter here. Also, the engine's covered over as well. Yeah. And you can see the effect of the problem I've had with the paintwork. I attempted to rush between the clear coat and the decals, and the clear coat didn't react. They didn't like it at all. So I have ordered a replacement decal sheet, so this will be getting stripped and repainted. The bodywork parts at all. Nice touch in this. The flexible hoses for the brake pipes, they're lovely. That was a nice. I replaced these with some from a company called T2M, which are a flexible wire wrapped. So they've actually got the corrugation in them. What happened there?
No, we got weird.
There's a thing called reactions that Apple have introduced, and I think if you do this, you'll get a thumbs up somewhere. There you go. Look at that.
Oh, right. Okay. How strange.
There's all sorts of other things that blow bubbles and stuff at you. If you're on your phone. Lovely kit, this. Really nicely engineered. Just butchered by me, I'm afraid to say. Just trying to rush the paint job. And I should have stopped, drawn breath, and then reconsidered the position. But absolutely 100% intent on having it finished for tonight. Pushed on and now regret it. So I'm going to take the side pods, the tail, the rear wing, and the front section of the bodywork, and I'm going to strip them back down and repaint them. I found a company in Japan who had the replacement decal sheet in stock, so it's on its way. Nice things. I've put some Model Factory Hero intake trumpet covers on. The mesh ones there, lovely. Although obviously when the bodywork's on it, yeah. So that was 20 quid well spent.
But that's the thing is, there's that by us all photographing our projects, we get to record what goes on sometimes that disappears on the final model. Yeah. We're 45 minutes in, Ian, and we have yet to get round to talking about your P34, my P34, but
I've just done mine.
Well, oh yes, you have. Yeah. Let's talk about that.
Right. Okay. So I put that picture on my Facebook group and went drying some bits. And we've had this conversation previously. I thought I'd cover it off. So this, not a dehumidifier, this is a dehydrator. It's a Von Chef unit. I got it from Amazon. That's only about 40 quid. And it has a variable temperature setting of up to 70 degrees Celsius. Very rarely run this above about 55. What it came with were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these shells. All right. The lid. What I've done is I've taken the centers out of 3 of them. So I can put larger items in here, put my surround piece on, put my top deck piece on, and have smaller items on here. Oops, clonk. Put that together.
What make is that, Ian? What's the name on the front there?
Von Chef. VONSHEF.
Dehydrator. Yeah, that's right. I'm just looking up the link here. Oh, here we go. Yep. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's fine. So basically, I use it to dry paint.
Yep.
With a little care, always the way. With a little care, you can put pieces freshly painted in that. That's why I took out those center shells so I can get these kind of things in. Bits on cocktail sticks and just sit them in, and then it bakes the paint, which will dry it a little bit quicker. Obviously, you see a lot of people saying, I use a hairdryer to dry acrylic paint, stuff like that. Well, with the lacquers, if you try to do that, you'll get split. They'll actually split. Whereas with these, they're baking it and bake it. The problem I had was I literally ran out of time. The clear coat that I'd used, which was this stuff, the Real Colors one, which I was learning on as well. See, when you introduce variables into a project that you really shouldn't, and then go, yeah, that bit me on the backside, and it did. So the paint finish has actually gone to like a patchy, mattish finish.
Mm.
Oh my, the decals have all gone down beautifully.
Mm. That's the unit there, isn't it, Ian? That dehydrator.
That's the one. Yeah, how
That's
much are they
the one.
selling it for now?
44 quid. Right. Okay. Next payday. Might get one of them.
You know, if you're building a car and you want a gloss finish, you get your gloss finish on it, and then you put it somewhere. And the longer it's exposed to it, the more chance you've got of picking up dust.
Mm-hmm.
If it's in here, bearing in mind that before I do anything, I tend to get a wet wipe. I've always got. This is the thing. I've always got these.
Yeah. See, I on my spray booth, I've got this, which is a cake stand.
Yeah.
And every time I use that to cover something over, I will spray it on the inside and give it a clean. So yeah.
So it's you see some things and you read people go, oh well, did this and did that, and it's like, and I got this finish. Yeah, because you left it exposed to the air, and all that happened was the dust that landed on it. Mm-hmm. It's like I do wet work here, you know, sanding and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of every session, I wipe everything down because that cleanliness level is how you end up with the finishes.
Funny you say that. Where I was working on that Bedford QL last night, and I was having to deal with so many kind of minor, tiny little sink marks, and you know, so there was a fair amount of super glue and Mr. Surfacer just to fill these things and you know and whatnot. And I was constantly cleaning the surface here from all the sanding dust. That's the beauty of cutting mats, is that they're dead easy to clean. But yeah, I was constantly, look, you can, here's the evidence. Look, there we go. So
that's the thing. I like those Dettol wipes.
Yeah.
The other stuff I use is this stuff, which is Advanced Technology Screen Cleaner.
Oh yeah.
Which is just an alcohol-based cleaner.
Yeah. Get that in Poundland. Get stuff like that in Poundland. Jim asks, Mike Williams, quick as a button there. He says, "Of course, John has a cake stand in his spray booth. Of course, I have, Mike.
Of course, he does, Mike.
Of course, I have."
Excuse me, Mr. Williams.
Yeah,
I've seen your wife's baking. If you haven't got a cake stand in your workshop, I would be massively surprised.
And Jim Altegott says, is there a range of temperature for drying paint?
I think the controlling factor is the point at which the plastic deforms rather than the point at which the paint will operate. So I tend to keep below about 60 degrees in that if I can. I haven't tried, and I'm constantly, you know, you're constantly pushing it and pushing it. It's at which point do I push it too far and end up with a blob that was once a beautiful model? So I know it works at about 50-55, so I tend to stick to that. I keep saying I'm going to put a test piece in and see whether I can actually get it to deform at the top end of the temperature scale of the thing. The thing when it goes to 70 Celsius, we'll see.
I did that back in the 80s. Again, wibbly wobbly effect. I was building, goodness me, it was the Airfix Mill 24 Hind, and I actually used the PP Aero Parts Mill 24 detail set on it. Anyway, long story short, got around to painting it, and I thought, yeah, I need to speed up the drying of the enamel paint, and popped it in a box and just left the hairdryer running on it. Yeah. Can you imagine the horror show that I lifted that box and saw what had happened? It was, yeah.
2 instances relating to that. You know Brian Derbyshire.
I do, yeah.
Brian, I showed Brian the decal technique with the hairdryer. Brian had an old Hurricane model, and he was trying out to see whether it worked on some very old Airfix roundels, and ended up with beautifully applied decals to a very bendy Hurricane.
Yes.
Which was, I remember that one. The other one was I had a resin 1940 Ford chopped 1944 body. There was 3 to 4 months worth of work just in this body, and I'd got it to the point where I put a pearl clear coat blue over silver, and it had patterning in it and all that kind of stuff, and it was just beautiful. And I put it on a table to show a friend of mine out the garden. It was a beautiful sunny day. They'd come around for something to eat, and then because it was still a little bit tacky, I thought, I know what I'll do, and I put a Tupperware box over the top of it, and then carried on with the meal and all that. When I came back, I had a flat. It had literally gone completely flat in the box. And
I shouldn't laugh, but
the grid for the table on it.
Yeah. We've got a late entry here from Steve Parker, who says, "Excuse the dust," but there is Steve's. There's Steve's Tyrrell as well, and he's done the same car as me, which is the Paler. Very nicely done. It's just something about that vehicle, though, isn't there, Ian? It just looks so futuristic. It's a shame Formula One never went down this path of six wheelers, but
there's a Williams one, there's a Ferrari one,
but so that's
as well.
That's Steve. That's fabulous from Steve. Thank you, Steve. Right, we are going to have to wrap up in the next 5 minutes or so. But before we do, here are some more of your. It's the Fujimi one, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you can do with Photoshop, isn't it?
Well, all I did was I just went in and just kind of light blasted it a bit. So but yeah, that's the same. That is the same version as the Matchbox kit, isn't it?
It's, yeah.
I'm not too sure whether I like that fairing over the back end or not. It
basically converted it into a spaceship. I like all of them, but it's 70s F1 cars. They're all brilliant.
Yeah,
because everything was different.
Yep.
One thing to show just before we go, with a little AOB for you, mate. It's finally here.
Oh, go on. About just trying to get the. There we go. Oh,
I ordered that in lockdown. It landed last month. Watch this space.
Good Lord. Right. We are coming up towards a conclusion now. We've saved the worst till last. This, as I said, folks, this is the first Formula One car I've ever built. Not the first car I've ever built, and it's not going to be the last Formula One car I've ever built. But it was, shall we say, Ian, it wasn't so much a learning curve as climbing up a mountain with one leg. But I am not deterred by the catalogue of errors I made on this kit. Got to say, I did about 10 years ago when I was in Frome, I did buy the detail upset from Tamiya, which are these kind of vinyl, self-adhesive vinyl things for the seat belts, and the photo etch stuff is actually doesn't actually have any kind of attachment points. It's all etched onto like a sticky card.
Very much model factory hero.
Yeah.
And a lot of the Japanese high-end car model manufacturers.
Yeah.
That's how you see it in all the kits.
Yeah.
It's lovely stuff.
But there we go. That's everything kind of assembled into the tub. A little bit of figuring out to do in terms of getting the how the seats actually sit in, how the straps actually sit in there. In fact, on the real vehicle, there should be some holes that go through where they are there. But it's artistic license. But so here on the workbench is Jonathan's first Formula One car. I'm indebted to Mr. Ian Hartup. You might have heard of him for his helpful advice with using. Oops, they've got a tire gone a bit wonky there. Helpful advice in using Trizact, because despite the fact that there are 1,000,001 kind of like errors on this kit, it is still one of the best gloss finishes I've ever got on a model. And so these are skills, that I will be taking into future projects. So yeah, not perfect, not even adequate, quite frankly. Yeah, these Goodyear logos on the front tires, they're just too small for me. But I managed to get the ones on the big fat tires on the back, although I haven't done the ones on the inner edges. But never mind. But no, like I say, it was a massive learning curve for me, but not my last Formula One car. In fact, I've got this. I've got the 1/12 scale Tyrrell 003 1971 Monaco GP to build for Russell at Jadlam in Glastonbury. So there we go, folks. Get out of your comfort zone. Build something that you may not normally do. And like I say, that might be the theme of a future group build on the IMC, is to have the get out of your comfort zone group build. So, but I'm indebted to you, Mr. Hartup, for your advice and your encouragement and your enthusiasm, because I've built a model of something I have wanted to build since I was a kid. So thank you for that. And thank you for all the advice on Trizact as well. So
you're going to make a custom car soon, mate. You didn't even know that. If I may.
Go on.
We'll raise a drink to those of you who contributed. Thank you very much for taking part.
Yep.
To your good health, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, alcohol-free Guinness. Goodness me. Yeah, all I've got is barley cup in here, but thank you, everybody.
There you go.
Ian, any other business?
No.
Oh, okay.
We've covered it all. That's been probably one of the most varied conversations we've had in a long time. I've really enjoyed the bit of feedback about age and all that. I'm really feeling old at the minute for various reasons. But, you know, when we start talking about the Max kit, 50-year-old, talk about some of the stuff I collect, some of those AMT kits that I've got in my stash that are now pushing 60, 65 years old. And yeah, we aren't. But I think, as I said to you before, I think there's a positivity in the hobby at the minute. You look at, I've got a couple of Tacom Tigers over here. I know. With figures, even more out of my comfort zone, for exactly the reason you've just mentioned. And I look at them and think, just 5, 7, 8 years ago, things like that, no, didn't exist. I think we're very, very much cresting a wave of the hobby, and I'm so enthusiastic about what will come.
Yeah, it's a fabulous time to be a modeler, isn't it? I mean, I think we can all be a little bit rose tinted about, wasn't it great in the 70s when we used to be able to go to Woolworths and buy frog kits and things like that? Yeah, but I think the whole frog thing is a little bit rose tinted. But yeah, you know, in the era of Matchbox, I love Matchbox. It may come as a surprise to some people out there. You know, JM loves Matchbox.
Who knew?
To me, brilliant kits. In truth, not the best, but
I have a first release of the Fury.
I've got several up in the
attic. One,
yeah.
And I keep looking at it and going, God, that's rough. But in its time, that's 1976, yeah?
No, 73.
Was it 73? God,
51 years ago. Could have been 72. There's a little bit of They were aiming to release stuff in 72. I think a lot of it came out in 73, but some of the boxes say 72. Anyway, Mike Williams says, I want to build another 1/12 scale F1 car, just need more days in the week and more hours in the day. And Andy King says, just bought an Airfix 72nd scale Roland C2 and the tooling dates from 1968.
Still a cool little kit, that in its era.
Younger than me. Yes, a lovely kit, actually. And Andy also says Trizact was a revelation. It was a revelation. And Jim says, I have a monogram TBD, one Devastator made in 1974. And Keith says, I remember being really excited when Verlinden hit the model scene. First Tamiya catalogue I ever got from the late, great Ben Simper, who used to run the model toy/model/bike shop down the high street here. And he gave me a Verlinden catalogue. Gave me a Tamiya catalogue. I've still got it. And that centre section of the Verlinden dioramas, that was a game changer for me. That showed me what modelling was capable of. And anyway.
Tell you who we might have to try and attract to come on here with us at some point.
You what, sorry?
Tell you who we might have to try and attract to come on here with us.
Go on.
Bill Bosworth.
I know Bill. I'll see what I can do. I'll see what I can do.
As well. So I think we both beat him up at Telford probably.
Yeah.
He's just saying he might be there this year.
Yeah. Just a quick thing. I'm just going to do a quick any other business. What do you know? There we go. This is my next project now that I've finished the Tyrrell, and I've got to build this for Telford as well, which is great fun. So still slightly on the theme of tonight's subject matter. It means I've got to do some figure painting, but I've got some of the new AK uniform sets here, so looking forward to cracking on with that. Might do some pop-up lives to kind of just to get my backside in the workshop here. And if I know people are watching, I've got to get on with some modeling rather than going outside and watching the robins. So on that note, we will leave you to your evening. A big thank you to everybody who has tuned in tonight. Big thank you to Ian, and obviously a big thank you to everyone who took part in the P34 challenge. Whether you finished or not, doesn't matter. We will have the did not finish group build at the end of the year. That'll be the Christmas treat for everybody. So Christmas treat, you said grandly. On that note, just makes to say thank you to Ian. Thank you, everybody. Fingers crossed. We'll be back next week for a regular Sunday service and might do a pop-up live during the week as well. So until the next time, stay safe, stay out of trouble, and we'll see you very, very soon. So bye for now.
No.